Hello and welcome. Today is Friday, the 8th day of September 2017, and Bitcoin has had a intraday crash. Maybe it's over for Bitcoin, and I was trying to find a creative way to come out here and state when you have a market going from like 46 and a quarter falling to 42 and a quarter, that's close to 10% down in about 60 minutes of time. And I can go over technical analysis about, it tried to revert the trend in here. No such luck. Correctionary phase in here, but it resisted it for a small leg lower. But this was not a small leg lower, nor was this. And this was a decent leg lower. So two major legs lower on the 1 minute time frame, a standard decent one and a low ass one basically in here. Since that point, and this is just volatility extreme, and I probably expect that the next few hours are going to at least remain such. I don't know if there's any news that caused this. There probably is. I'll find out more about that later on. Okay, so you come up in here to this level, and you don't fall down to the newly rising average. Instead, you establish resistance in here, and now it's back to that point. So I guess very short term, 44 and a quarter-ish or so, 44.10. Yeah. I want to go over mainly something I've been thinking about for days and days now. I had a buy order on Bitcoin for just 20 bucks at 4,000. And yet we can see the bottom's 42.27. Let's show you that exchange. And to me, this is a simple strategy. Let's talk about it. And this is the Tether exchange. So I bought basically, where's 4,000 on here? Well, it's pretty much at the bottom. I wish I would have had a bigger buy order in. Right here, I bought. And that's when the market was 42. A sweet buy order. I didn't even realize it happened because I just found out at about 10:37 a.m., 10:35 a.m. that the Bitcoin was down a few hundred points lower. And the volatility on these moves are really extreme. Notice that it fell from the same area in the 4,600 range. So let's take a look at now this on a more longer term time frame, because this is the 1 minute. And this is the 4-hour time frame. And within such, well, we've already seen here that this has been undercut. I've already written down on a piece of paper what this number is, what this number is, what these three numbers are, and what this is. So I'm going to now show the exact same 4-hour time frame with the exact same amount of periods on the Bitstamp exchange. And within such, around the 5th day, the market came down to 39.10 on the Tether. So there was a spot where it was a fall about 100 points lower within the basis. And then the situation in which, I'm looking at the dates here, the L5, L5, meaning the 5th day was 39.10-ish. And then at the start of the month, the price came down twice to 43, then again to 42. So there's the 43 and there's the 42. So there's the situations where the price was a couple hundred points lower here within the Tether, and then the high I have in at 49.50. This is a situation where actually a little bit overcut it, and this really cost me that it didn't go higher. I had a decent seller at 49.99. Obviously it didn't hit. And going before that, I have 28 low, 41.60. So around the 28th was about 41.60. So this one matched. This one matched around the 41.60. And the 22 low at 36.50. So that one actually undercut on this one a little bit. But we can see that you get these situations within it. So I'm going to throw up next is the Tether, if I can pull it up, and I think I can. I haven't looked at this in a while, but I think I can actually see it on this platform. And this is the 4-hour time frame. So this is a good idea to look at this because it gives you a ratio of what it is towards the US dollar. And this is on Kraken. If I wish I could see what it looked better on either Poloniex or Bittrex, but I can see right on Bittrex just by going around like over and over and over again that it does move wild in both directions, above and below this key 1 number. And here we can see for the last several days that the exchange difference has been consistently 2.5%, 3%, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. That has not been the case with, at least with the Bittrex site. And if I take a look at this on a more longer term time frame, and browsing through, I actually found the Poloniex version of this. So this is going to look better, and this is what I was trying to find the whole time. This is the daily time frame of the Tether to the US dollar. We can notice, and this is a par at 1. Well, we can look at the numbers. This is 99, so pretty much somewhere around in here. So usually this thing trades to where it has been going. At least we can see this has been the case going back well, several days now, and you have these periods in here where it spikes when these markets have these huge plays. And I've been thinking about this strategy for a while. I'll go over it in a couple minutes from now. And now that I'm looking at these charts, I'm sure it's a good strategy. But let's continue forward within the Tether exchange. And this is just a situation back in May where this thing had a huge differential in here. Huge. And then, of course, it's sticking at this one number. So let's just go back in time. I'm just going to scroll back before this period, before May 17th. And this chart really puzzles me here because this can't be right. It can't. But anyway, within such, we can see this number doesn't have too much volatility. It's been pretty darn near good. Because even this little bounce, like 98.3, that's like 1.7%. Yeah, not much of a gain. 4% gain here. Yeah, okay, that's worth doing. And that's all you're getting here. Like, I don't want to play unless I can get at least a 2% gain. And it's pretty much been stating on dollar par. However, I do remember that in this early time frame, there was a period of a good few weeks where the Tether exchange in the US dollar was nowhere near what it was like on every exchange, including Poloniex, because I was trading that on that exchange at that time. So then let's go back to the last chart, and I've seen it there. It shows you the situation. And on the Kraken exchange, this is a situation in which right around here, look at the difference, 10%, 5, 6%. When the price is higher, that means that on the exchange, that I think the price of Bitcoin would cost, I'm thinking it means Bitcoin's cheaper than what it should be on the exchange. What's the first one? USDT. So it means the Tether is stronger than the US dollar. So if that's the case, that means, yeah, it should be cheaper. So if Bitcoin's 4,200 and I bought it 4,000, that means the number had to have been, well, 200, like 105 basically. So in here, that means the price would have been more expensive to buy, I guess. Anyway, yeah, there was a time where there's a difference on the exchange, and I was not liking it when I seen it here, but roughly around this point in here is when I started to think, you know what, this thing is starting to settle in. It's staying around the 1 number. So what the secret with this happens to be is just notice if there's a difference on here. Whenever this is a few percentage points off on either direction, then you can almost decide to just make the trades and you're probably going to do well. Meaning, if you see Bitcoin is trading for 4,200 on Bitstamp, and that's the trade that you actually buy stuff with, that's what the price is, and yet it's on the exchange at 4,000, yeah, you'll be a buyer. If it's on there at, say, 43.10 on the Tether, yet the real price is 42, now you want to sell. Because it seems that they're going to move, you got the 1 number, and I don't know what scientific name you would use for this, and I think about this all the time. I just don't know the name of it because it's something I've researched without reading books on it. But it's like when you got like it's almost like a magnetic line where energy is going to move above and below it. But whenever it moves above it, there's going to be forces that have to bring it down. And when it goes below it, forces that bring it up. And that's exactly how I see this playing out. And as the Bitcoin market moves and all these trading volumes, you're going to get situations where it's going to screech down in here at times, and it's going to have to at time work its way back, and of course vice versa when it goes higher. A couple times I've made bets on it like that, and I wish I would be doing it more. I got to do it more often. Whenever I see there's a good 2 to 3% difference in the price, just go ahead and buy and sell depending on the influx of the difference. So now let's finish up on Bitcoin analysis. As I've talked a lot about this Tether, and I haven't even seen the Bitcoin price in a good 15 minutes of real time. So let's take a look at it. And within such, I can see here that it's just going sideways. I just had an idea. What I probably should do is go on Google, do a search for Bitcoin crash, and only search for items within the last hour, which would take me to anything posted from this point on. Maybe I'll find news of what happened. And this is where I'll choose the past hour and see what comes up. Is Bitcoin burning out with an ad? Bitcoin crashes on massive volume as China plans to. Okay, we'll see what happens on this. And you're not going to be able to... I could probably fix it so you can read it. Darn right I can. Bitcoin crashes on massive volume as China plans to shut local exchanges. Okay. Having bounced back dramatically from the 20% plunge following the ban of the ICOs, Bitcoin is getting battered again this morning on very, very heavy volume as a report from this company authorized plan to shut local Bitcoin exchanges. The supervisor authority has decided to close the exchange of virtual currency in China, which involves all the currencies and the currencies of the currencies such as currency line coins and Bitcoin China. Journalists confirmed the news from the person who came close to the Internet Financial Risk Special Replication Working Group, a bunch of big words together, and learned that the resolution has been deployed to the local level. On the following September 4th, People's Bank of 7 ministries and commissions joint announcement here and after regarding the announcement. After further supervision action, the announcement will mark ICO as illegal financial activities and the order the ICO to be banned and the date of publication of the announcement. All ICO tokens trading platforms need to be cleared to close the transaction. So I guess they're going after these I've never been a fan of ICOs too much, and I really don't know on the long term how something like this can affect at least the mainstay cryptocurrencies like the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the Litecoin, and the list of several others going on and on. So then let's continue on with the charts. And within this daily time frame now, situation within this last correctionary move, of course, from the original thing in China on the ICO, bringing it down to the 4,000 handle. And now the lower high to the 18 average of highs. Unable to get by it, especially after a very nice bullish day yesterday. And this is a news-driven event that has brought it down. But this is a good situation when you have the 2 daily green candles up to that, and then you have a pause day like that, and boom, kerplunk, she goes. As now you can start talking about these lows that are in place. And breaking even this low here more longer term is not that big of a deal. In fact, long term, this is the last big low we're talking about. So even if it has some sort of move to like 3,000, 2,900 area, that would be technically a higher low from this point. And Bitcoin is an extremely volatile code. And if you're out there making situations where, oh my goodness, I just made like the last week, my portfolio's up 30% against the dollar. And then in a month, oh my goodness, I've tripled it or quadded it. And then you're going to have situations where it's going to go down big too, because the only way you can make 4x, 10x, 20x kind of gains in this business where you can make life-changing money is by having to go through these risks. And if possible, trying to profit on any of these moves. For me, I use Bitcoin as a major base currency. I have no choice but to hold a whole bunch of them and just take any hits on the way down. But I realize long-term, higher highs, higher lows. We look at this on the weekly, starting with this one. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Okay. This 18 average of lows is in at 29.50. 18 average of highs is 36.50. So on the weekly time frame, that's the band of the correctionary phase. And oftentimes, if there's going to be a correction, markets will come back to where they came from. Yeah, they came from about 2,900 area. And usually it's going to pierce into it. So if you look at it, even 25, 26 could even make sense. And it's only a 50% reduction. I mean, come on. 50% down? I mean, cryptocurrencies, man, that's nothing. I know 50% down, if you see the Dow Jones go from 21 to, say, a little over 10,000, people will be panicking on the streets. But here, 50% down would be a correction to the 18 average of lows, a little pierce below it on its last key resistance phase, well above the 2013 highs. And still, what would qualify for a higher low above about the 1800 handle. That's the general way that I look at these kinds of markets. Is it ready for a deep correction? And it could be. It could be because, as I've been stating the whole time when I've been talking about these videos, going way back at the point, talking about how this resistance level was a previous key high where you have a large correction both through time and price, and in this case, a long time to get back to where it came from. That's a pretty powerful situation. Okay, so you resist it very slightly with only one small move back to the 18, and then on the next play, it just skyrockets above it. So when I went through the different calculations of where it's going to go to, around the 5,000 area seemed to be where it would go to, and it did. It did. It's already done that. And now if you want to talk about a small correction on the long-term time frame, you're talking about what I've just said, a 50% down move from the high down to about 25. That's a small correction. A moderate correction would be back to the 1250, 1300 area. Is it capable of it? Heck, it went from 1200 to 250. Sure, heck, why not? Why not? But those are the two obvious areas. I'm going to say this again. If there's not resistance at this level, because what's this, a small red candle? That's not much. No. If there's not much or even little resistance, and this thing ends up breaking into the 5,000-6,000s, like, I mean, holy crap, it's going to be having monstrous moves, because when you're at an area, this is what I've noticed with charts, you're at an area where you're at a high level, especially long-term like this one, where you're supposed to find support resistance, in this case resistance, and you do not, then the usual situation is a very fast move to the next key target. And whether that key target is 68, 75, whatever it is, it's whatever that number, it would be a fast move most likely. If you're into trend line analysis, it's probably better if I shorten this, and that wouldn't make much of a difference. Right now, this is in at about the same congestion area as far as this trend line is concerned. But it most certainly could have that play. But the move so far within it isn't much. So if it, within the next, what's this, a weekly chart? So in the next 2-3 weeks, late September, if this thing doesn't really go down much and 4,000 holds well, 38, 37-ish area holds well, and then you get further momentum going forward, and you see, especially because we've now tested 4,000, if we test 4,000 further, and it does make a play above like 53, 54 kind of area, yeah, watch out. I mean, that thing is probably going to explode further. And even in a situation of a small amount of support where you have a quick move, and even down to here, if it comes to the 18 average of high, sparks up, even if it comes back here and you get a fast pullback, you have a situation comes to say 29.10, 28.75, whatever. And maybe if it goes to 28.75, the tether might be buyable at 25. Who knows? And then it goes there. Next thing you know, you get a very fast move higher. That can happen in this business because it's, well, let's see when it has happened. It happened recently in here where you had a big sell-off and it comes in quickly. Where else can we see it? A little bit here. A little bit there. This sell-off came back pretty quick. Yeah, not so much, I guess, but I guess it did in here where it came down fast, rallied, and then and a lot of the times what it's been doing is when it comes to kilos, you see it just gradually makes it higher and then it explodes. So in this case, gradually higher explodes. This was a situation where it consolidated. It just had a good one move, and that was it. But here, gradually going higher, exploding at the end. Not so much here, but yes, in here, gradually went up higher in here and then exploded at the end. Here, just went all, actually on the more recent one, actually exploded more so at the earlier stages. But again, this thing is in a major bull market. And my trading perspective is all sell-offs, at least on the Bitcoin market, I consider to be guilty until proven innocent, meaning if it's going to go down, it's going to eventually go back up every single time it has before in the past, and I'm going to be expecting it to do so. So that's the game plan in which I am playing with. No, 21 minutes. I'm going to have to finish it soon. And we'll finish it off with this 1 minute time frame. Does it have the potential for the failed move, fast move? Here's a situation where it broke down a key level of support, bounded really quickly back to its current congestion area from before. Any very short-term moves by about 11:27, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, if you can see it well above 44.10-ish or so, then maybe this thing has the availability to move another 80, 90 points at least really quickly. That's how I basically look at something like this short term. And I, again, expect a lot of volatility throughout the day, and I'll be back later throughout the day with other videos, at least one more anyway. Take care.